So here's the situation. 69 weeks ago, we had this list of 70 Muppet characters that had been chosen for the 70 Years, 70 Muppets campaign. Here we are with this big spreadsheet. And everybody at Tough Pigs all signed up for the characters that we thought would be interesting to talk about on this podcast. So I chose Animal and the Kuzbanians and Manamana. And I also chose the Mutations, a trio of full-body Muppet monsters used as dancers and backup singers on The Muppet Show who appear sporadically and never speak. Now, I specifically chose the Mutations because I thought it would be funny to pick one of the characters where there just isn't a whole lot to say about them. And it was funny in the sense that I didn't have to actually do it for 69 weeks. And 69 weeks is a pretty long time to prank yourself. So here I am. I've had 69 weeks to think about what to do in this episode. And to be honest with you, I did not use that time productively. But as backup dancers, the Mutations are always here to help. Because as it turns out, the key to this entire 70 Years, 70 Muppets campaign, that's right, it's the Mutations. Welcome to the penultimate episode of 70 Years, 70 Muppets, a Muppet fan podcast presented by ToughPigs.com. This is the podcast where we celebrate the Muppets' 70th anniversary with 70 straight weeks of spotlights on our favorite Muppet characters, from the most popular to the most obscure. I'm this week's host, Danny Horn, from Muppet Wiki and the Fantastic Miss Piggy podcast. The Muppet of the Week is the Mutations, that trio of full-body monster backup dancers played by whoever was available at the time. The Mutations were designed by Michael Frith, and they made their debut in the second episode of The Muppet Show in 1976. Now, as you'll find out, this is actually a much bigger and more important deal than I imagined, and I cannot possibly cover a topic of this magnitude all by myself. So I've got my own backup dancer right over here. He will be familiar to you from the Great Muppet Fandom panel and the brand new Tough Pigs HQ podcast, as well as his own excellent podcast, Stick to Shorts, about classical, theatrical, animated cartoons. The man sitting across from me is JD Hansel. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, it's me. I'm JD Hansel, and I'm welcome, and I'm your friend.
Great. And here we are.
I'm so glad to be here, Danny.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me for this episode.
Oh, and Danny,
Yes.
something I've been meaning to tell you for months.
Yes.
Phenomena. There we go. Finally got you.
Pays off.
All right.
It pays off.
Right under the wire. This is
Right,
like
yeah.
Indiana
Yeah,
Jones
exactly. That was the
grabbing
last
the
second.
hat or the whip or whatever it is. Whew. I'm good. I can leave now as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Well, let's not do that. Let's
Okay.
because we have stuff to talk about. As
Oh,
you
yeah,
well
that's
know,
right.
we are privileged to have the Mutations as our episode.
We got some of the coolest characters in Muppet history, I think.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you think about
Mhm.
I didn't initially feel that way, I will confess, but then after learning a bit more,
Mhm.
I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
We at Tough Pigs have been a little nervous about this week. We know a lot of Muppet fans have been worried for the past few months that their favorite character might not get included in this campaign, even though that's all we have to live for. Now it kind of feels like all the cards are on the table, right? We still can't announce who next week Muppet is, but unless they make a really bold choice, it's kind of predictable at this point. So that means we've been thinking of week 69 as the week of rage and disappointment. But
Yes.
guess what, Danny?
What's that?
We've just been given some super exciting news that we know is going to turn your frowns upside down. If your favorite Muppet didn't make it into the Muppet 70, you can forget it. The Muppet Studio has been using this campaign to cull down the cast of Muppet characters to only the 70 most popular ones, the ones that you, the fans, love most. So for any characters that didn't make it onto the list, that just means not enough Muppet fans commented about them online for the studio to notice. But for the characters who did make it in, you're going to be seeing a lot more of them. The Muppet Studio, with the full support of the Walt Disney Company behind them, are now harnessing the power of AI to remove all of the Muppet characters who weren't included in this campaign from all Muppet productions. Now, when you watch a Muppet Show movie or special on Disney Plus or any of the Walt Disney Company streaming and rental partners, you'll only see the characters who matter most. Isn't that great, Danny?
Well, yeah, and the most exciting thing is that now, as Muppet fans, we always want other people to get into to become Muppet fans. Like
Yeah.
we need more people watching that new Muppet Show special,
Mm-hmm.
getting online for that new movie whenever that happens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really the whole idea of getting those characters down to just 70
Mm-hmm.
is all about making it much more of like an on-ramp for new fans. So they don't have to learn
Right.
like 200 different names. Like, nope, all you gotta know is these 70 characters. And so this should make it a much more streamlined franchise and a franchise that people can really get into.
Because, researchers have been saying the Muppets have too many characters, and there's
Hmm.
just no way children can be expected to remember them all. You
Yeah.
put a kid in front of the Muppets, and they're like, "Is that Bert? Is that Bert? Is that Bert?" It's too confusing. And now they're getting back to basics, going back to the
Hmm.
Muppets' roots, back to the essentials. And I think with that, like the studio is just gonna take off.
We got Kermit, we got Fozzie, we got Gonzo, we got the Mutations, we got Baskerville,
Yeah,
Screaming Goat, and there
yeah.
we are.
That and just a short few others, I think
Yeah.
really is all that you need.
Hmm.
Danny, can you share the most exciting news? The part I'm really jazzed about.
Yeah, well, so I can also announce at this point that on Muppet Wiki, we are really excited because for the very first time, we are partnering with Disney and the Muppet Studio to help us align the wiki with all of this new information that is now going to be the official history of the Muppets for the last 70 years. So we're going to be going in page by page and removing all of those excess characters and replacing them with just the characters that will be used from now on.
Right. And I think that's the key point is that it's not really a loss. You're getting more
Right.
time with these characters that matter most. More time with Howard Tubman,
Hmm.
more time with the mutations.
Yes.
I think this is like a really exciting for us fans who just want more Nigel time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
This is great. And I'm really curious to see how that applies to the mutations. I think we've probably
Hmm.
both found a lot of interesting things about these characters.
Yeah, so let's start with where they began, the mutations in the second episode of The Muppet Show, episode 102, the Connie Stevens episode. And they show up for the first time as Connie Stevens and the Mutations as backup for Connie Stevens singing "Why Must I Be a Teenager in Love?"
Well, if you want to make me cry, that won't be so hard to do. And if you should say goodbye, I'll still go on loving you. 'Cause each night I ask the stars above, why must I be a teenager in love?
It's interesting how like Kermit is hyping them up backstage to Connie Stevens as like, and we got you backup singers, as though that's like a special perk that wouldn't be commonplace on a show like this. And I believe she says like the Temptations, and he goes, no, the Mutations, or it's something like that to circle and underline the almost joke that is their name.
Right.
And make the most of it. And you said that they never talk, but they do kind of talk a little bit as they're running down the stairs. They go
Hmm.
by fast so that you can't see the thing that we know about the mutations, which is their mouths don't move.
Right. They kind of hang open.
Yes, they hang. Well, the performer's eyes, from what I can tell, are seeing out of the mouths
Hmm.
as like with a mascot. And one could look at this in a negative way. I certainly wouldn't, Danny, because I'm so hyped to be talking about some of the 70 most important Muppets.
Hmm.
Clearly, these are really crucial characters. And so you have to look at that as a creative choice and a really bold, strong creative choice. I think it's kind of flaunting where Jim Henson is in his powers as the puppet master at this point. So, like, let me just to put this in a bit more context. When you think about what Jim Henson did for puppetry, I think it was more than just adapting puppetry for TV and film, the way that we talk about it. He made puppets more expressive. Going back to the Sam and Friends days, before he really established continuous characters
Hmm.
that had a clear interiority that would stay themselves from production to production, he had all of these puppets that could change and become different characters from sketch to sketch. Kermit becomes Kermina when you throw on a wig, that kind of a thing. But he started before developing long-running characters in the way that you have now by just making sure that he had expressive puppets that like he improved the way that puppets could perform, the way that puppets could emote, the way that they could really express an emotion or feeling or just a vibe.
Hmm.
That boils down to the fact that he built puppets to actually lip sync and developed a technique for that that made you believe that sound was coming out of these characters. In much the same way that like Disney's revolution with Mickey Mouse, And the sound cartoon was not, as you and I have talked about for an episode of Stick to Shorts that listeners can look out for in about a month or so. Uh, it's not that Disney had invented the cartoon with synchronized sound, it's that he made you believe that sound was coming out of these characters.
Right.
Jim Henson, in a similar way, despite sound technology being around for a long time, like synchronized sound technology for film and TV, he was kind of the first one who made you believe that sounds were actually coming out of the puppets' mouths, even when you knew they were recordings that had been recorded by famous celebrities
Hmm.
before.
But these aren't just like a little doll that's wiggling in front of the screen.
No,
This
no,
is this
they
is
like
a character who's actually like performing and acting.
they're performing, they're acting, they're expressing, and you believe that the sounds are coming out of their mouths. And that's sort of the foundation upon which the rest of what he did with the Muppets is built, all the other ways in which he advanced the puppetry arts. So to decide that he doesn't need that anymore and that he can just slap some mascot heads
Hmm.
onto some suits and furry gloves and slippers, and then have the characters grumble a bunch and go, oh, wow, and call that a character, that's showing off that he's made it. He's past the point of needing to care about whether or not his puppets are characters or are performing or are believable at all.
Hmm. And something that's fun just in their in this first episode, their first appearance, what they do basically is take over that song. Like it's supposed
Hmm.
to be Connie Stevens' song, and they are taking over and basically like pushing her away
They
at one
literally
point.
shove her out of the
Yeah,
way.
they shove her out of the way. They get in front of the camera. She's kind of like in the background trying
Hmm.
desperately to emote. And at the close, it ends up with the mutations and shot, and Connie has to kind of like run in, and they sort of fight over who gets the applause.
Yeah. What's great about that is that it connects to that Jim Henson spirit
Hmm.
of everyone gets to be a part of the scene in an equal way. Everyone gets to be a part of the storytelling and the value of upstaging. The Muppets loved upstaging, and you haven't seen that with a lot of the other characters represented in 70 or 70 Muppets, I don't think. And so to feature these characters who in their relatively little screen time on the Muppet Show uh use that time to completely upstage the guest star. Like this is clearly a celebration of what the Muppets are all about.
Yeah, and they do that not just with Connie Stevens, but as we'll see with several of the other guest stars as well.
Yeah.
Like that is kind of what the mutations are, and really, I think that this is like the Muppet Show, especially for episode two, really asserting itself as being something different from the ordinary variety show that somebody might be performing on. That like, yeah, we have a celebrity, but like really we're making this about the Muppets. Really, this is about kind of the Muppets taking charge of their own show. So their second appearance, they are no longer like they're still called the Mutations, but they are no longer that like suave R&B backup group. This is
Right.
Sandy Duncan in episode 114.
Now won't you tell me what's a nice girl like me doing by the dance floor after hours, dozing over rows of whiskey sours, feeling so bad. I'm feeling so bad for me.
What you doing here, girl? What you doing here, girl?
So in What's a Nice Girl Like Me,
Mhm.
they've added fangs now. They're not in suits anymore. They're very kind of like scruffy looking and angry looking. One has a leather jacket. So here they're actually now being used as monsters.
Mhm.
And the joke was that these were monsters doing backup singing, but now they're just monsters like along with Sweetums. And unlike Sweetums, they can actually participate in the dance number while Sweetums has to hang back.
Well, because they're not moving the faces, they're able to move their arms, and so they can pick up Sandy Duncan, or they
Hmm.
can pick up Madeline Kahn in another sketch that you were. I hope I'm not stepping on your toes. The Madeline Kahn number is feet. It's feet. It's all about
Or
feet,
feet. Yes.
and Madeline is singing about how she'd always remember their feet.
Hmm.
But the sketch is actually banking on us not remembering them because we've seen what their feet look like before. Not They don't exactly have features or toes. They really are just fuzzy slippers in earlier appearances. But here now, fully fleshed out toes have been added, toenails have been added. They really went all in on the mutations feet just for this number, and we don't see those feet in any other appearances.
Hmm. But it shows that number kind of shows off like what the mutations can do. that other Muppets can't,
Which
which
is?
is to kick a guest star
Oh,
in the middle
yes.
of a musical number.
Yes. Yeah. Because they have feet, and
Because
most
they now have
Muppets
feet.
don't
And
don't don't
exactly, that
most
is the
Muppets don't.
thing, right? The thing that the mutations have.
But you know what
So
it also shows off about them?
yes, tell me about that.
It shows off that they live up to their name
That is
because they've
true.
gone from having no toes to mutating to have toes.
That is a really
And
good
just
point.
like
That is an
between the
excellent
Connie
point.
Stevens episode and the Sandy Duncan episode, they've mutated to grow teeth. In the Alice Cooper episode, you see new eyebrows. And the eyes, if you keep watching their eyes, they just keep changing. Little changes to the mouths, the eyes. They really do develop a lot. And
Yeah,
that speaks to uh, something that was very important to Jim Henson and Frank Oz, which is that these characters keep evolving. It's crucial to their reality. It's part of why we believe in them so much and care about them so much. And that's why we love the mutations, because they're always evolving as characters.
right. And that's why people find them so fascinating,
Right.
from going from one appearance to another. And the interesting thing I think is that it's not just that the mutations change, but they are around at moments of change for other people. So times when you're
Yeah.
asking yourself, like, why must I be a teenager in love? What's a
Right.
nice girl like me doing in a place like this? Who am I? What am I here for? What will I
Yeah.
become? How do I remember this breakup? How do I deal with overcoming these memories? The
Yeah.
mutations are there for you at those moments of change and adaptation.
Right. Right. In those times when you can't tell if you're in Oklahoma
Hmm.
or somewhere
Somewhere
else.
else. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wasn't sure we were going to go into that. And
Eh.
also in episode 512 with Melissa Manchester, they do Your Cheatin' Heart,
When tears come down like falling rain, you'll toss around and call my name.
which again is about kind of like that moment of betrayal and that I need to break up. We need to change this relationship.
And a sincere point that I will make here.
Hmm.
I don't need to clarify that since, of course, everything I've been saying.
Everything's sincere.
Yeah, it's a very sincere episode. But I am very impressed by the fact that they have different costumes in just about every appearance.
Yeah, that is
Like the
good.
Muppet Show did not sleep on this. They just
Hmm.
kept changing the costumes completely. And one might look at that as an admission that these characters are not really characters and are just kind of used for whatever is functional or useful for the rest of the show. But again,
Or it shows how mutable they are
right, it
and what a broad
shows
range they have.
that they're true performers
Hmm.
that just have tremendous capacity as actors, as singers, as dancers, and as a stage presence. But it's not just physical changes that they represent. They represent and capture and express changes in political dynamics.
That is right. Very true.
Specifically, I'm looking at the opening of The Great Muppet Caper, the opening
Yes.
number.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, a movie. You see a very brief moment of fast world building in the world of The Great Muppet Caper. They don't spend a lot of time on it, but they do establish we are in a universe where there are monsters everywhere, and there are dog catcher like monster catchers that go around throwing the monsters into a sort of makeshift prison that
Like a
they have
steel
built on the
cage.
back of
Yeah.
pickup trucks.
Hmm.
That's just a part of the world of the Great Muppet. They don't spend a lot of time on it because they know they don't really need to explain it that much.
Hmm.
It's so
Right.
intuitive
Yeah, yeah.
that like and now there would be all these studio notes from executives saying like, well, that's just a weird thing to throw in there without giving that a whole like 10-minute backstory to make sure the audience understands why. But they knew that we would just get it because it speaks to universal human experiences. And you see this mutation in there who's been captured, but is still happily singing along with the song.
Hmm.
And then a few minutes later, within the same number, something has changed.
They've
The
turned the
truck
tables.
drives by again, But now the monster catcher is the one in the cage, and the monsters have taken over the truck and are driving away.
The monsters have become the monster catcher catcher.
Indeed, and also they have become monster catchers in that they are monsters and their profession is catching. They are monster catchers who catch monster catchers. Isn't that beautiful?
It
And
is.
part of what's beautiful about this is it you see the final metamorphosis of the mutations. Something I don't think I've noticed before, but noticed this time. When that mutation sings, "Hey, a movie,"
Hmm.
Danny, he really sings it. I don't know if you got the chance to look at this clip.
I
The
did not
mouth
notice
moves.
that. Really?
The mouth moves perfectly in sync with the words. I
There
think
you
they
go.
put in like some sort of animatronic rig or something because they're finally at the point now, given you look at like the bicycle riding scene with the animatronic Fozzie and all that. I think at this point, post Yoda, the studio is able to do with the mutations exactly what they already needed. They can have articulation in the mouth and still use both hands. So really, they've captured one of the most important and beautiful changes and evolutions in the Muppets of all. And in that moment,
It's.
Danny,
Hmm.
they're free. They have escaped from the physical prison that the monster catcher has locked them in. They've escaped from the a larger prison of not being able to express oneself by finding this new capacity for expression. They have escaped the prison that comes with not having the technology that you need to be able to accomplish to be able to realize your dreams as the puppet master that Jim Henson was. And this is also when they're free from the Muppet franchise.
Hmm.
They
They
drive
drive
off
off.
into the sunset here,
Yeah,
and we don't see the mutations again for a very long time.
that's right. That's right. They took off.
They got out.
Except, JD,
Hmm.
that was the case, that they drove off into the sunset and were never seen again. But now, in the new history
Hmm.
that we've got of the Muppets, where we are cutting down to just the essential characters, the mutations become much more important characters. And so on Muppet Wiki and on Disney Plus, we're going to see them kind of in some more ways that we've never seen them before. Do you want to talk about some of those?
Yeah, Danny, I am having a little bit of a hard time understanding you because this is the only way that I remember seeing these characters, which is
Oh,
everywhere,
yes,
taking
right,
all
of course.
sorts of forms,
Hmm.
because they mutate.
That is
And so
true.
they've turned into so many different things. Like in the third season of The Muppet Show, I don't know how I forgot this for a while, but we get this great character, Annie Mutation, who is positioned as like sort of this young rival to Miss Piggy,
Hmm.
takes on a really important role in a lot of the musical numbers on that show. Some of my favorite, Daddy Wouldn't Buy Me a Bow Wow. Great stuff that I think a lot of fans might have been worried wasn't going to make it into this campaign, wasn't going to be represented here. And really, it shows them. Like, of course, they're here. Why wouldn't the mutations be here for after great
Hmm.
moments like that?
Right.
And you know what I think their biggest break was?
What was that?
I think it must have been when Clifford Mutation hosted Muppets Tonight for 2 years. Like, I don't know. It's so weird that we've been talking around this, but like a Mutation hosted
Muppets Tonight, right?
2 seasons of a Muppet show that aired on a network.
Hmm.
That's amazing. Like, of course, that's going to get represented in this 70 years campaign. And I don't know why
Right.
fans
Yes.
didn't expect that.
Exactly. Exactly. And more recently,
Hmm.
we've seen a mutation character in a very sort of important, unexpected role on the Muppets Mayhem.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Penny Wax Mutation. I loved it. This was like this incredible moment where this mutation mutated into this design unlike anything we've ever seen the Muppets do before. We got Leslie Carrara Rudolph just showing off all of her range as a comedic performer and a dramatic performer. Like I think she had a surprisingly meaningful relationship with Dr. Teeth. And that was beautiful.
As a mutation. Yeah.
It showed a whole new side to the mutations, and in turn, really, as the mutations always do, evolved the Muppets into this new place, evolved our understanding of these characters, deepened the characters so much. Who would have thought that was possible with Dr. Teeth? The mutations did.
And so JD,
Yeah.
really kind of wrapping this up, and I'm going to ask you
Mhm.
this specifically on the part. How do we get out of this?
I have no idea, Danny. Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I I um I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, Danny. Look, I'm trying to be supportive of what you're trying to do with the wiki. I'm excited
Yeah,
about
I
this
know. I
partnership
know.
for you. But like,
We
Danny,
can't
these characters are not characters. What are they doing here?
we can't lie.
Like,
We can't lie to the people, JD.
just I feel
These
like
ladies and gentlemen, the ladies and gentlemen who invite us into their ears, into their cars when they're driving, into their gyms when they're working out.
Mhm.
We can't lie to these people anymore.
No, I know. I'm trying to be support because there's a lot to like about this campaign. But to pretend that the Muppets have always been about characters is really hard for me to do when I know, but like sometimes characters are not the point. Like I love a lot of these monsters like the mutations. In all sincerity, I really like Luncheon Counter Monster quite
Hmm.
a bit. But if they were like, all right, we're going to give this character a consistent performer and a backstory and a real name and figure out this character's deal, it's like, then what's the point?
Right.
Like, truly, I would
Yeah.
lose interest because I
Yeah.
think that so much of how Muppet comedy worked, especially in the old days, was you'd have a bunch of characters that weren't really characters, and so it didn't matter what they did, it didn't matter what happened to them, and that allowed for a lot of that Muppet chaos and violence. And now trying to reframe all of them as characters, as this campaign does, like what are we? I don't know. What are we doing here, Danny? What are we doing here?
Um, okay, real talk, real question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have to at some point completely drop the history changing, the wiki thing, and we have to drop criticizing the campaign. Because
Yeah, I know.
because the place where I'm going is really appreciating and loving the campaign. So we gotta work our way out of that.
Well, but I thought this was the breakdown scene.
Oh, is this what this is? Is this
That's
what
what
we're
I
doing
was
right
trying
now?
to do.
Are
Yes,
we,
I was
are we
trying.
doing it? Is this it?
Do you want to keep this in? I think it's really funny to keep this in, Danny. I think you should do it. I think you have to.
Where we're just where the pretense all pretenses drop
Yeah,
away.
why not? I'm okay with it.
And we are
Sure.
and we are mutating this episode from the unworkable concept that we had.
And we spent so much time thinking about it.
And I think we nailed it. I believe we
I'm
nailed it.
maybe I don't know, but
Yeah,
like,
the only
look.
thing we didn't have, JD,
Hmm.
was an ending for it
Right? Yeah,
and
I know. I
a way to
know.
jump off into
I
the
know.
real world.
But like the
And
thing
so the
is,
interesting thing about
hmm
that, JD.
yeah. Okay. More of this. So the interesting
So
thing.
the interesting thing.
So the interesting thing. Well, I'm of two minds about the campaign
Hmm.
because it's true that I do think that part of the beauty of the Muppets is that they're not just locked into being a cast of characters. They can be kind of whatever the puppeteers need. Like I'm usually interested in the Muppets as vehicles of expression for the Muppet performers. Like for me personally, my relationship to the Muppets is I'm so sorry, Danny. I'm not so much a big fan of Miss Piggy as I am a big fan of the kinds of performances that Frank Oz can give through Miss Piggy. But I feel like I'm similarly a big fan of the performances that he can give through Grover or Cookie Monster. And it's more so that I'm a fan of the way that Frank Oz delivers a great comedic moment as a performer than I am of any specific character, if
Like
that
which
makes sense.
puppet is on his hand at the moment.
Right. Like I'm not jazzed about Elmo. I'm jazzed about Ryan Dillon making interesting performing choices.
Hmm.
And so for me, I think that's probably part of why I haven't hosted an episode for this campaign is that like I don't normally think about the Muppets in terms of, oh, my favorite characters. But here's the other side of that, Danny.
Yes.
Right now, I've got a Joe the Legal Weasel magnet on my wall that is
Yes, you
officially
do.
licensed because of this campaign. That's
Yep.
amazing, Danny.
It really is.
That's amazing. Like, I'm truly jazzed about it. Like, we've. I'm thrilled about the opportunity to have clever merch, and I'm also really impressed with this podcast
Hmm.
because I didn't see the potential in it initially. Like, I think I was sort of maybe the one person on the Tough Pig staff who just didn't have a vision for how to do something interesting with this show, and then was kind of proven wrong over and over and over as it turned out to be one of the most expressive things that Tough Pigs has ever done in terms of just giving everyone on the team and a few people not on the team who guest hosted some episodes opportunities to develop their own podcasting styles and do a lot of weird comedy bits that wouldn't ordinarily be in a Tough Pigs podcast. So much creativity that I am not used to hearing in Muppet fan podcasts generally has been showcased here.
Well, JD, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
when you get right down to it, why must I be a teenager in love? It's a really good question. And the kind of teenager that I am, and I always have been,
Mm-hmm.
is in love with the Muppets. Just in love with this crazy, extensive, diverse cast of characters from the most popular to the most obscure. And the thing that's interesting is that it wasn't obvious when you create the Muppet Show that you're going to end up with this enormous cast of like 70 memorable characters, plus still so many more that we didn't even get to. Like, there are other puppet shows that did not do that. It could have been like the Muppet Valentine Show, where there's a recognizable main cast of like 6, and they're in a house, and everything just revolves around them. But instead, the imagination and the ambition of Jim Henson and his team of designers and writers and performers and puppet builders, they just kept creating new characters every episode. And then in the movies and in the specials and the spin-offs, and they're still doing it right now. And for the last 69 weeks, we've gotten to know these Muppets better than ever before. And also, along the way, we've gotten to know each other better too. Like, we've made new friends, you and I, by working on this crazy podcast together. And for folks, through making and sharing amazing art and collages and video clips, showing off their collections, having interesting conversations on the Discord, and just expressing in so many ways what these characters mean to us. So if I must be a teenager in love, and apparently I must, then yeah, let me be in love with this, with these characters, with this community.
Danny,
Mhm.
I guess it turns out we were wrong when we thought that week 69 was going to be the week of rage and disappointment. Week 69 is the week of love.
That is so true. That is where we are right now. Welcome to week 69, my friend.
Welcome to week 69.
So tune in next week for episode 70 of 70 Years, 70 Muppets, which I can personally promise you is going to be a kick-ass final episode. JD, thank you so much for all of this and for being here with
Thank
me
you.
today. Where can people find you on the internet?
People can find me at JD11PC on Instagram, a few other places. But you can find my podcast about classic cartoon shorts, which Danny Horn here has been on and will be on again, at Stick to Shorts. That's on Blue Sky, Instagram. You can search for Stick to Shorts on Facebook. We're around.
And on your podcast catcher and everywhere you find podcasts.
Oh, yes, of course. And now on YouTube.
Oh, excellent. Hooray. And for me, you can look up Muppet Pictures, my social media feed, where I post 2 pictures every day. I just started it on Instagram, as well as on Facebook and on Blue Sky and X. And so it's 2 pictures every day. It is delightful. Please come and follow along. And also, I might as well plug the Fantastic Miss Piggy podcast, which was a little while ago, but you can find it on the Tough Pigs Muppet Fan podcast feed. And
Danny, Danny, I think this podcast doesn't usually end with plugs, so I was surprised
that
you
right?
did that.
Okay.
I don't think so. However, first of all, please keep that in. I could use the promotion.
it has in
Secondly-
my episodes.
Oh, it does? Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I'm thinking, Danny, we actually should end this special episode a little bit differently from
Mhm.
others. I think that's only appropriate.
That works for me.
I think somebody's got to sing backup for Jared for our closing theme.
I couldn't agree more.
70 Years, 70 Muppets is a Muppet Fan podcast presented by ToughPigs.com. Hosted by a whole myriad of people and edited by them as well. Produced by Jared Fairclough. The Muppet 70 logo used with permission by the Muppet Studio with thanks to Danny Iglesias, Frank Reich Snyder, and Lee Slaughter. Don't forget to follow ToughPigs.com on all social media platforms. You can support us by heading to patreon.com/toughpigs or buying a t-shirt at tpublic.com/toughpigs.